Hi guys, it's Melanie. So, for the next week and a half, I'm going to be on vacation, and I decided to go ahead and just pre-record and set for upload these perfect neutral eye tutorials. You'll also be seeing a couple vlogs here and there, and you will still see my Friday favorites and flops this week from hopefully on location if things work out the way that I want them to. But I thought this would be a really good time to pull out a bunch of those palettes that I have had requests on for perfect neutral eye tutorials and show you guys some of my favorite looks from all of these palettes. I'm starting off with the LORAC Pro 2 eyeshadow palette, which for people was either a yay, I like that, that's so pretty, or I'm totally passing on that type of palette. I love this one because I love more cool toned shadows, but it's not for everybody. But I like it, so it's the first one I'm going to show you guys. So, as you can see, definitely more cool toned, more jewel tones, but it's easy enough to get a perfect neutral eye from this. This eye look right here is the one that I tend to gravitate towards the most when I pull this palette out. I'm hoping that in the fall I will grab this and show you guys some more jewel tone tutorials because there really are some beautiful fall jewel tones that you can incorporate with this particular palette. So please do remind me as we get closer to fall to pull this guy out again. But anyway, really like this eye look. There are ways to ramp it up even more in terms of intensity by using more of the cool gray shade, which is the one that I focus on for the crease in this particular eye look. You can also, go a little bit less heavy-handed and make it even more neutral and natural looking, but that's up to your discretion. Let's go ahead and get into the tutorial and let's see how I got this look here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this look over on this eye. First thing I'm going to do is take the color Buff, which is right at the end, on a fluffy brush, and essentially I'm just trying to take away the tackiness from my eye primer. So I put that all over my lid and all the way up to the brow area. That will also act as a highlighter essentially. Then I'm going to take a blending brush. This is just a little sample guy from Sigma. And I'm going to go in the color Cool Gray, which is the shade right here. And you want to be careful with this one because it's definitely pretty pigmented to start with. So this is one of those shades where you definitely want to place first and then worry about blending it. So I put it where I want it, which is in the crease and slightly above the crease for me on the outer part of my eye. And once you have the vast majority of that color off your brush, you can start blending. I'm going to use my transition color second. I know a lot of people like to put down their transition color first, but I tend to usually put the transition color down second after I put down my crease shade. And I'm, as much as possible, following my socket line. This is a very, very pigmented shade, so you do want to be careful with it. So once I have that down, I'm going to go ahead and take a tapered blending brush. This is essentially just a more fluffy blending type brush. And I'm going to go into the color Nectar, which is right next door to Cool Gray. I'm going to get some of that onto my brush, and I'm going to take that around the outer part of where I put that Cool Gray in my crease area. This is going to help me create a gradient up to my brows. Then go back into a little bit of that buff and put that right underneath your brow. again, to help with that gradient and to just blend things out a little bit. With a larger, fluffier brush like this, you can certainly get the product up a little bit higher than you want sometimes, but it's easy enough usually just to go back in with the lighter shade and get that lightness back up there. Then, with just a tiny bit more of the cool gray on that original crease brush, like I'm talking like a tiny, tiny bit, I'm going to go back into my crease and deepen that up. And I'm mostly focusing on like the actual crease portion. So I'm literally wedging that brush into my socket line there and deepening that up just a little bit. You are going to have fallout with the LORAC palettes, so some of you who do liquid foundation may want to put your liquid foundation on after you do your eyeshadow. For me, with powder foundation, it's easy enough to brush it off because the powders don't stick to the powder foundation, so makes that a little bit easier for me. Then I'm going to take, where did I put it? I'm going to take one of these flat definer brushes and I'm going to go in the color Cool Gray, which is what we put in our crease, tap off that excess and put that along the lower lash line. I'm putting that really close to the lashes. And I'm stopping it where my lashes naturally stop growing towards the inner corner. So next I'm going to do my lid shade. Originally I put the color Rosé on my lid and then decided to go over it with the beige, which is this one right here. So I really like that combination together. So the Rosé first, and I'm actually going to use my fingers for this because I like the impact that I get a lot better than when I use a brush. So I'm going to put that on my lid with my finger. And I'm not going to take it all the way to the outer part of my lid area out here. I'm essentially going to go about 2/3 of the way. Then go into the color beige, again, just with my finger, and go over top of that. You can definitely use a brush for this. I just like the way this looks packed onto the lid with the finger a little bit better. But if you are a neat freak about stuff like this, definitely use a brush. Okay. Then I'm gonna have to go back in with my crease brush this time, nothing on it, just to define my crease one more time. And to help with this gradient here towards the outer portion, I'm just going to bring this down onto the lid on the outer third of my lid space. Because in that area, I want to have that cool gray going on. Okay. Then for my liner today, I actually used a combination of the navy and the plum. So first I'm going to put down the navy, and I'm just using a small angled brush for this. This navy is really, really intense, so it makes a really pretty liner. And hopefully I can stay out of the way of the camera for the most part. So I'm just running that along the lash line. Again, you're gonna get fallout, so just prepare yourself for that. While I love this LORAC Pro eyeshadow formula, it is probably one of the more messier ones. It's pretty loosely packed, I guess you could say. Redip just one more time in that navy to intensify that darkness. Then I'm going to wipe the rest of the navy off, and I'm going to go in the color Plum. So I went ahead and went in the color Plum second because I felt like that was maybe a better fit and a little bit closer in tone or color overall to the cool gray, but I like the way these two layered together. So I got the darkness that I wanted from the navy, but more of like the color payoff that I wanted from the plum over top of the navy, if that makes sense. The plum itself wasn't dark enough. I guess you could wet your brush, but I don't know. I liked how this turned out. It was kind of different, and it's kind of a fun way to use the darker shades in your shadow for a neutral eye look that you wouldn't normally pair together, I guess, when that plum shade has a ton of fallout. Okay. Clean that up a little bit. Then all I do to take away this fallout is I take a fluffy brush, and this one is totally not clean, so I need to wash my brushes. I just simply sweep it away. Don't forget this area on the side of your nose, because sometimes you can get fallout there, and if you're not paying attention, like, it's very obvious to people who are looking at you from the side that you have a bunch of like schmutz there. So don't forget to brush it away from there. Okay, and at this point I'm going to go ahead and put on my mascara, and then I'll come back and show you guys the finished look. Guys, here is the finished eye look. I really like this particular look from this palette the best. I've done quite a few neutral eye looks with this one. Most of them are pretty cool tone because that's just the nature of this palette. I feel like there is more of an emphasis on cooler shades, although you do have a couple of warm, more chocolatey browns in here in this cocoa shade, as well as the light brown. But if you're looking at it as a whole, it tends to lean a little bit more cool, which I happen to love. So lots of options with this one in terms of different looks. Like I said, this one tends to be my go-to when I grab this particular palette here. I really like this a lot. I'm glad that I have it in my collection. I am hopeful that in the fall I will grab this one again and do a more jewel-toned, deeper eye look for you guys. So remind me when we get to that point. But it's easy enough to do an everyday simple eye look. This, out of all of the LORAC Pro palettes that I have, I think that this is the one that I would least recommend as a staple. My top recommendation is always going to be the LORAC Pro one, which you guys will also see a look with coming up here. But this one is, it's nice if you tend to like the cooler shades. So I'm glad I have this one. This is definitely a go-to for me, but it's not going to be for everybody, so just kind of know that. But if you have it and you just have never thought to try this particular look, it's a great one for every day. If you want to ramp it up for like date night, say you wear this to work and then you're going out to dinner after, it's easy enough to take a little bit more of that cool gray shade and blend that into your crease to deepen that up, and then, you know, touch up your lid shade just a little bit with either the rosé or the beige, whichever one you prefer, and you're good to go for a nighttime look. So anyway, there you guys go. Let me know if you have any questions. Look for more perfect neutral eye tutorials in the coming days here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.